For those of you who haven't seen Love, Death and Robots, episode named Beyond the Aquila Rift, story that is based on 2016 collection of science fiction short stories and novels by British author Alistair Reynolds, this video might contain spoilers for you, so I recommend you watch the episode before and then come back. This episode was very impressive, best in the series, and ending was just so unpredictably bueno that I was shocked for a very long time, thinking, constantly reimagining all of that happened in this episode. I'm not going to re-explain what happened, you saw it for yourself. Instead, I'm going to try to explain what it did to the mind of our protagonist, whose name was Tom. I was long thinking, can we define that creature as antagonist of the story? Actually, it's hard to do, because creature was presented to us as a caring and compassionate being. Despite its hideous appearance and the physical atmosphere of the real surroundings our hero faced. Was that creature a flesh-eating monster? Sure, it was a monster, but flesh-eating? No. Proof of that was intact bodies of the rest of the crew. But why hibernation pods were broken, who knows? Maybe it's something that is unexplainable, or just simple entropy. You could stick many theories. There was an accident with the starship after all. Was the creature feeding itself on the biological traces of emotions of its victims? How about that theory? Possible that it was consuming positive emotions on some unexplainable telepathic way. The way that is hard for us to imagine. Let's be fair, most of us do not even understand photosynthesis, yet plants somehow live from it. Possibly, in some fantastic way, it was living of emotions, particularly positive emotions of the lost souls. Something that is beneficial for the victim also, like symbiosis. Let's be real, every organism requires nutrition. What if hundreds of thousands of light years from Earth there lives arachnid creature, unique life form that evolved for special metabolism? I know it sounds surreal, but what if? Everything that happens in our brains is just chemical reactions, secretions of hormones that determine our everyday lives. Anger, happiness, severe sadness, love, arousal. All these mentioned conditions are the result of chemical reactions in the brain. Serotonin is an inhibitory chemical that plays a major role in many of our body's essential functions. Mood, arousal, it's also known as happiness hormone. Dopamine controls functions like behavior, emotion, and cognition. This chemical also communicates with the front part of our brain, which is associated with pleasure and reward. Two main and broadly known hormones that are essential for positive emotions. We didn't see what was really happening with the bodies. It is quite possible that creature was sucking on the heads of the victims. So creature found in the deepness of our protagonist's mind his most positive or even sacred memory, that is love of the nearly forgotten fire, Greta, and shaped a prolonged positive dream that allowed the creature, a nearly inexhaustible source of positive emotions, to consume. Here is the part where sex comes into the game. That is obvious, you saw the episode, because it plays important part in the biology and physical needs and is greatest source of chemical reactions for serotonin and dopamine. Greta was cognitive component, and for our protagonist she was a sexual visual stimulus. He eventually focused his attention accordingly based on the positive memories about her and eventually led to the mental rehearsal of performing a sexual act that felt real. Created dream influenced the focus and perception of his other senses, taste, smell, touch and hearing. But all of that without neural connection to genitalia. Processes in Tom's limbic areas of the brain by the dream directed his behavior towards the sexual goal, which resulted in feelings of reward, a bouquet of different hormones, serotonin, dopamine, oxytocin, and endorphin. So our hero was overwhelmed with positive emotions, a relatively good result for both life forms, but with different outcomes. But with Susie it didn't play out well. Creature's influence on Susie didn't work, she didn't fit into the frame created for Tom. Routes of manipulation were different. For Tom, it was Greta, the positive base to build the dream, but for Susie had no place in the dream for Tom. Creature were not able to construct joint and mutual connection to incorporate Susie. Only thing that haunts me so long, what did Susie actually see in Greta? Why she was so upset? Because Susie recognized some sort of repetition in processes. These simulations. I'm sure Creature tried to create separate dream for Susie, and maybe Susie truly had her own dream. Creature even revealed that every soul gets his own dream, but for some reason Creature wanted them to be joined in one dream, one meal, which did not work. Probably Susie was already dying and there was no time anymore to preserve her for later consumption. Sometimes, for story to be great, it has to be mysterious. Some questions must stay unanswered so the consumer or viewer can fill the blanks with his imagination, thereby imprinting his mind with a great memory. So in couple of years you come back to this story and amaze yourself once again how good it was.